It keeps me up at night, wondering if this is some kind of destiny.
This week in game news, some pretty interesting stuff happened. Everybody's gearing up for E3. There have been some interesting announcements for DLC and expansions, and of course, as per usual, there have been some great releases. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. To start with some inflammatory news, Take-Two, Rockstar Games' parent company, is suing the BBC over Game Changer, their upcoming drama on the making of Grand Theft Auto and the surrounding controversy. According to Rockstar Games, they're looking to ensure that their trademarks are not misused. The film is based on the book Jacked, the outlaw story of Grand Theft Auto, which has come under fire due to the author's failure to secure first-hand testimony from certain people talked about in the book. The film is set to star Daniel Radcliffe as Sam Houser, president of Rockstar Games, and Bill Paxton as everybody's favorite disbarred attorney, Jack Thompson. Thus far, the BBC has announced no plans to put Game Changer on hold. How things turn out with Rockstar Games remains to be seen. A new trailer has been released for Torment, Tides of Numenera, the spiritual successor to Planescape Torment, in which advanced civilizations have risen, fallen, and innovated. The inventions left behind by these civilizations are artifacts called Numenera. Somebody has discovered how to use the Numenera to attain to immortality. The player is a side effect of this process. I confess, I'm not really familiar with the world of Numenera, so I can't say too much about it. Thus far, however, the game has gotten pretty good reception. If you like the style of the earlier Fallout games, then you'll definitely want to check this out.
Amid the dangers and ancient secrets, what does one life matter? Find your answer.
A couple really cool Kickstarter projects caught my eye this week, one of which was Super Paperman. Currently in development by a mother and son team, it's a fast-paced 2D platformer. In the game, you play as Paperman. You're made out of, surprise, paper, and your job is to deliver dreams. This Sonic-inspired game boasts 4-player local co-op, and is coming to Mac, PC, Wii U, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4.
We are on a mission to unlock the essence of reality in virtual worlds, to enable human integration with technology that is so seamless, all it takes is a glance for your digital environment to react at the speed of thought. We are FOVE, the world's first eye-tracking virtual reality headset.
Another Kickstarter that's kicked at my attention was for FOVE. FOVE is a virtual reality headset with a very interesting feature: eye tracking. Unlike most other virtual reality headsets, which track your head movements, FOVE tracks your eye movements within a game. This has some very interesting implications and applications. To start with, visually speaking, it means that you can focus on something in the environment and the game will respond accordingly, perhaps blurring the surroundings as they need to be. Also, it means that you don't have to move your head nearly as much as with other VR headsets. According to the FOVE team, this will reduce simulation sickness. Additionally, using a FOVE for a longer period of time will result in significantly less neck strain. At the time of production, the FOVE headset's Kickstarter has already surpassed its $250,000 goal. The purpose of this Kickstarter is for the developer editions, which are set to go out May of 2016. Personally, I really love the idea of eye tracking for virtual reality. While they seem to be making a big deal about making eye contact with characters in video games, which in their Kickstarter video doesn't seem to have risen very far out of the uncanny valley, some of the other applications do excite me. For instance, they created an application for a student with muscular dystrophy that allowed him to play chords on a piano. This could be fantastic news for people who are disabled, not only with regards to their being able to game, but with being able to use a computer in general. I'm excited to see what the future holds for FOVE, and this is definitely a project that I'll be keeping an eye on. Some fresh information has surfaced regarding Momocon 2015. Now, in case you've not heard of Momocon, it takes place from May 28th to 31st in 2015 at the Georgia World Congress Center in Atlanta. While the primary focus of Momocon is on anime and video games, tabletop games, comic books, Western animation, and the like are also welcome at the show. Some of the panels that have been announced thus far include Halo Panel Evolved, which is a panel featuring the voice actors from Master Chief and the Arbiter. There's Borderlands Behind the Characters from Gearbox Software, and Inside Hi-Res Game Design from, as you may have guessed, Hi-Res Studios. If you're interested in making video games for a living, there's also the Breaking into the Games Industry panel from 343 Industries, Hi-Res Studios, and Sega. Additionally, Momocon also has its own annual Indie Game Awards. The finalists have already been announced, and the winner will be unveiled at the show. If you're unable to attend Momocon in person, don't despair. Some of the panels will be available to watch online. If you go to momocon.com/streaming, you'll find a timetable which shows off which panels are being streamed and when. Besides the anime and game panels, there are also performances from musicians. Nerdcore hip-hopper Megaran will be attending the show, as will Go Robo Go. To top it all off, there's an Iron DJ competition. It's Momocon's first, so if you'd like to show off your DJ skills, check it out. A new trailer has been unveiled for the upcoming Adam Sandler movie, Pixels. It still looks as stupid as ever. I generally try to be open-minded when it comes to films, and I'm no stranger to watching movies and enjoying them in spite of their having been critically panned. I'm not asking for the next Citizen Kane, it's just that, well, Pixels looks terrible. I don't mean visually speaking, but, well, I've seen these sorts of movies before, and they show the funniest bits in the commercials, only to disappoint you when they come out. That's just the Sandler way nowadays. As much as I'd like to be wrong, I have a feeling that my pessimism is about to be rewarded. I'm probably not going to see this in theaters.
Also known as
your worst nightmare! Eddie Plant, king of Donkey Kong.
Please find the pattern and anticipate!
I don't know the pattern!
Shoot for the head! You're welcome.
You got blood on your face.
The only way to take down Pac-Man is with ghosts.
You want ghosts? These are your ghosts.
Let's hit it! Don't tell anybody I killed the Smurf. Incoming!
Look out! He's going to eat you!
We got this. If we don't, the world ends. We have to take the battle to them. Donkey Kong.
The one game you suck at.
May I introduce to you the creator of Pac-Man?
Professor Iwatani, what are you doing?
I will talk to him. He's my son. Hello, my sweet little boy. Look how big you've grown.
It's so sweet. He's so sweet.
You're a good boy.
Somebody kill this Suing!
In League of Legends news, an interesting new feature is being tested. Riot Games has just introduced the player reform system, and it takes aim at verbal harassment. When a player is reported for verbal abuse, the system sends a reform card to said player with the charges levied against them, as well as the verdict and the sentence. According to Riot, this automated system examines each case and determines whether the behavior deserves rejection or punishment. So, if you beat somebody in League of Legends and that person starts hurling racial slurs, he'll likely be facing a ban. The system is currently being tested across North American servers. Riot has plans for follow-up notifications for players who reported others, upgrades to the game to recognize intentional feeding, and rewards for positive behavior and communication. Perhaps this is just in time? A Canadian teenager has just pled guilty to 23 charges of swatting League of Legends players. Swatting, in case you've not heard of it, is an unfunny and dangerous practical joke in which somebody calls a SWAT team to somebody else's house, claiming that the victim is engaging in some sort of illegal activity. This joke has the potential to cost lives. If Riot Games is taking steps to help prevent this sort of thing from happening, that's fantastic.
Here's the thing about time. If you can't make the most out of any given moment, then you don't deserve a single extra second.
If you're a fan of city building games and you still haven't picked up Skylines, well, I have another reason for you to grab it. A free update to the game has just brought in European-themed maps, 50 new European-themed buildings, tunnels, and the ability to import custom vehicles into the game. The update also brings various bug fixes to the critically acclaimed City Skylines. This game has lots of fans for very good reason. Besides the free updates which bring in substantial content, as well as the tons of mods available for it, it's well worth owning. If running a Banana Republic is more your thing, great news. The Espionage expansion has just been announced for Tropico 5. It adds the Maltese Toucan campaign, in which Tropico's national treasures must be protected. There are also some new mechanics in the game, namely spies. This is, after all, the Espionage expansion. There's now a spy academy available in the game, along with several other military buildings, extras for your Tropico 5 avatar, and other cosmetic bits. Would you rather take your strategy games to outer space? Well, you're being accommodated, as Civilization Beyond Earth is getting the Rising Tide expansion. Announced this week, this expansion features floating settlements and new undersea resources. Besides changing the terrain of the game, however, this expansion comes with other features, such as buffs for the human and AI players called dynamic leader traits, enhanced democracy, new biomes such as the primordial worlds full of volcanoes, and the frigid worlds of icy oceans and tundra, along with hybrid units to make playing multiple affinities more viable. I've not played very much Civilization Beyond Earth, but that which I did play I really enjoyed. The game is a lot like Civilization 5 right now. That's not a bad thing if you enjoy Civilization 5, however it does lack a lot of the game's personality. While Civ 5 has all of human history to draw on, Civilization Beyond Earth strikes out in a new direction, and the original sci-fi that it presents is kind of interesting, but not entirely compelling. So while it does have a lot in common with Civ 5, it's mostly the good. Personally, I think the game would have benefited from having some better written lore and perhaps some more story elements, though it would have to somehow retain the openness that allows you to strike out in your own direction, as is classic in Civ. Perhaps the game could have benefited from the writing talents of Ursula K. Le Guin? Perhaps. Whatever the case, the Rising Tide expansion looks like it'll be worth picking up when it comes out autumn of 2015.
Now we look upon our new world for the first time. On these alien shores, our destiny waits. A new beginning for mankind.
In E3 news, PC Gamer has announced several more developers for their E3 PC gaming show. Thus far, AMD, ArenaNet, Blizzard, Bohemia Interactive, CCP Games, Cliff Bleszinski of Gears of War fame, Cloud Imperium, Creative Assembly, Dean Hall, the creator of DayZ, Devolver, Frictional Games, Fulbright, Heart Machine, Nexon, Paradox, Pixel Titans, SCS Software, Splash Damage, Square Enix, and Tripwire Interactive are all on course to be part of this show, which takes place on Tuesday, June 16, from 5 to 8 p.m. These are all sorts of companies and people showing off all sorts of games. This show is happening because while there are dedicated shows to the Xbox and PlayStation at E3, there's never really been a proper dedicated PC show. As for Steam releases this week, Technobabylon was just released on Steam. It's a cyberpunk point-and-click adventure game set in a police state. It's set in the year 2087, and the official blurb is that CEL agents Charlie Regis and Max Lau are investigating a serial mindjacker who is tapping into the neural wiring of seemingly ordinary citizens, stealing their knowledge and leaving them dead. An agoraphobic net addict named Lapa Sesame might be the next target, but when Charlie's past comes back to haunt him, he and his partner find themselves on opposite sides of the law, with Lapa's fate in the crossfire. Frankly, I'm kind of a sucker for a cyberpunk police drama. I especially like the idea of two good characters who are at odds with regards to the best way to go about doing their duty. Be sure to keep an eye on blackmanandrobin.com, as I'll have my first impressions of the game up quite soon. Would you like to win a Steam key? Specifically, a Steam key for a very interesting adventure platformer called Toren? Well, good news. We're holding a giveaway over on the Blackman and Robin Instagram. All you have to do is check out the post, tag a couple of friends in a comment, and follow us. We've already got some entrants, and we'll be announcing the 2 winners next week. If you're interested in a streamlined MOBA, great news. Heroes of the Storm, that is, Blizzard's own MOBA, is now in open beta. Heroes of the Storm features characters from several of Blizzard's own games. I've played a bit of the game, and I really enjoyed it. It's a lot easier and more fast-paced than Dota. There's no item shop in which to buy things in the game. Your entire team levels up as a whole, and, while you'll always have the same main objective of invading your enemy's base, each level in the game also has a little side objective. There are quite a few maps, and thus far the game is pretty good. If you've been looking for a MOBA either to start playing the genre, or if you've been looking for something to play in between your games of Dota and LoL, you'll definitely want to check out Heroes of the Storm. The game's quick pace is refreshing, and thus far I found the community to be pretty friendly. If you'd like to learn more about it, you can check out our article on Heroes of the Storm at blackmanandrobin.com. Another interesting adventure game released on Steam this week is Sunset. Sunset is an adventure game in which you play as a maid during a revolution. You see, Sunset is set during the 1970s in the fictional South American country of Anchuria. You're not out fighting for your rights in the streets, rather you are just cleaning up the apartment of a mysterious individual. You find certain things lying around that seem to indicate that this guy is looking to overthrow the government. Now, you can go on with your cleaning job, or you can participate in some way or another. While I've not yet played the game, critics really seem to love it thus far. If you're looking for an adventure game in which your adventure is somewhat different, I recommend checking it out.
Even with the smoke rising on the other side of the glass. There was another explosion last week. You can feel the depression in this place. It feels like everyone in the city is grinding their teeth as hard as they can. Would Gabrielle even notice if I stopped coming? In the middle of a civil war, why is this the thought that haunts me? The man has this job. He brings home encrypted papers and signs them without even reading them. I stood there with my heart pounding and my face burning. I knew my brother and his revolutionary friends needed to know about this. I don't think Gabriel left those papers out by accident. I don't know if he's a hero or a fool. Free from suspicion, this apartment seems removed from it all. Known only to Gabriel and me. It's a hidden place where I can pretend for a little while none of this is happening. Come back home.
If you're a fan of the Shadowrun series of games and you're not scared to pre-order one, based on the quality of the previous games, you might want to pick up Shadowrun Hong Kong right now, as it's available for pre-order at a 33% discount on Steam. The game is set to come out in the summer of 2015 for PC, Mac, and Linux. In case you're not familiar with the Shadowrun series, all you really need to know is that it's a sort of cyberpunk fantasy RPG. If you can imagine orcs living in futuristic cities, well, you can imagine Shadowrun. Finally, we're ending on a rather light-hearted note, with this ridiculous tweet. Apparently, when video game titles are misheard, it completely changes their meaning. I suppose The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask could make for a pretty compelling game if you involve Phoenix Wright. Well, that's it for this week's game news. Be sure to follow at Blackman and Robin on Twitter for all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Be sure to follow me at Jordan_Cameron for my other views.
In a world desperately in need of heroes, there is only one place in Atlanta to find them: Momocon, Atlanta's homegrown convention for video games, anime, and comics. You can heroically battle the forces of evil without breaking a nail in the Southeast's largest gaming hall. This is your chance to meet Keith David, the creators of Toonami, and 40 other guys you have seen and heard in movies and TV. Bring out your inner hero in epic cosplays, only at Momocon, the gathering place for heroes.